Um, we're going to be talking about AI and cybersecurity. Can someone let me know if they can see my screen? It should be loading right now, but I'm going into presenting mode.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, here's AI and cybersecurity. So today we're going to be talking about kind of defining AI, and then we're going to be talking about AI specifically in cybersecurity and how they play a role. Then we're going to be talking about cybersecurity in homes and basically everyday life. And lastly, we'll be talking about AI ethics. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so what is intelligence in an AI context? So I'll be asking you this question. So if anyone wants to unmute and respond, that'd be great. What do you think the difference between information, knowledge, and intelligence is? Does anyone want to answer? You can just unmute, or if you have microphone issues, you can also type it in the chat. That's okay. Okay, so if people are unsure about this question, I just want you to basically define each of these, or just tell me what you think the difference is. Okay, so G-Songs I've had said information can be factually proven or disproven. So that's a really good point and really good insight. I'll just go on with the definitions, but yeah, Jason, you're right. You're right in a specific sense. So information is the meaningful, shareable, and measurable pattern. So keep in mind, we're talking about AI specifically here. And information can be pretty much anything. It has physical, mental, and social aspects. So for example, one piece of information could be the slide I'm showing you right now. It's meaningful, it's shareable. You can share it with your friends and family, like the recording can be shared, and it's a measurable pattern because you can count it's a pattern based on the way the letters are put together to be able to form words and sentences. It also has a mental aspect because words and sentences have to be comprehended. You have to use your brain to be able to not understand them. So people need to know how to read to be able to mentally comprehend pieces of text. And it also has social aspects because not every person is going to understand and comprehend this piece of text the same, because people may have different backgrounds, different experience with reading comprehension. And that's kind of the same with code. Someone with more experience with code or with a specific experiences with technology will be able to understand it and will interact with it differently than someone who is only using technology for the first time. So knowledge, I think, is kind of what Ji-sung was getting at there, is the store of information that enables us to act. So an important part of this is that it enables us to act. So for example, we know how to breathe, and this knowledge allows us to breathe. If we didn't know how to breathe, then we would have an issue. Another example of knowledge is we know how to read, but that knowledge of how to read is learned, not just you're born with that knowledge. So you can generate new knowledge by learning. So knowledge is different from belief because knowledge needs to be justified. So it needs to be factually proven or disproven. Otherwise, it would just be a belief. So for example, one piece of knowledge that has been factually proven is 1 + 2 is 3. Everyone agrees that 1 + 2 is 3, and many scientists have tested it out and agreed, yep. In every single scenario, we always get 1 + 2 is 3. However, a belief is that purple is better than blue. That's a belief that not everyone shares, and also it is difficult to prove what is better than, so it is not factually proven, and that is a belief. So I hope that makes sense. And lastly, intelligent is a slightly difference between the first two. There's a little bit of a difference because intelligence is a process, and intelligence uses your information or knowledge to problem solve. So this is your ability to basically adapt to situations that you find yourself in. So for example, if you are given a pop quiz, so you didn't know you were ready for that quiz, but you have the knowledge and information that 1 + 2 is 3, and that comes up on your quiz, you're able to apply that knowledge and use it, and you're able to write 3. So that is more of an example of how you would apply this information and knowledge in a situation that maybe you didn't expect. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before I move on? Or okay, cool. I'll just move on then. So now I'm gonna be talking about what is AI. Again, does anyone want to kind of give a go at this? And AI stands for artificial intelligence. Because that gives a big hint if you may want to like define it. Yeah, if you want to define it or like just like give an overview of what it is or some examples, anything's okay. And yeah, again, if you want to unmute, that would be preferable, but you can also just use the chat as well. Okay. Song's iPad says intelligence is by a non-living being. Thomas says AI is something that can think for itself. And Alice says CAPTCHA is AI. So those are all really good insights. And you guys, I think, are all right. So AI is basically computers using knowledge and information to problem solve and complete tasks. So basically, it is intelligence by a computer or an artificial being, like a basically computer, an algorithm, could be a lot of different things, maybe even CAPTCHA. A lot of things use AI. So yeah, I think Song and Thomas, you guys are pretty much spot on. It's basically just intelligence by someone who's not living or specifically computers. So okay, so now we're going to be watching a video to start off our cybersecurity and AI. So I will pull that up real quick, and just let me know if you can see it. Yeah. Sorry, my computer is loading. Okay, hopefully we can all see this. And I'll share.
Will artificial intelligence be the end of us, or
Okay.
will it significantly
Hopefully
improve
you
our
can all
lives?
see this video.
Well, it can be both. I'm Masha from Cutting Blonde, and today we're going to talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. We'll discuss the benefits and the challenges of AI, the role of AI in cybersecurity, and how criminals may abuse this technology. So cyber attacks have been increasing in their frequency and scale for a few years now. We saw a sharp jump since the beginning of the pandemic. With data security in more danger now than ever, it's no surprise that more and more companies are turning to artificial intelligence for digital protection. But first, what is artificial intelligence? AI is intelligence displayed by machines rather than living creatures. Machine learning is a subcategory of AI that enables programs to identify patterns and apply them in problem solving. AI and machine learning can be indispensable in cybersecurity. AI can predict and fend off cyber attacks more accurately than people, since it can process enormous amounts of data fast. It can also free up employees to focus on other, more complex tasks. Machine learning can be very effective against malware. It can scan massive databases of existing malicious software and block an attack if a new, modified version of it surfaces. AI is also great at network monitoring. Machine learning can determine typical user behaviors and, when something out of the ordinary happens, flag it as a potential threat. AI also plays a significant role in biometric authentication, which can eliminate the need for passwords. And that is good news, since a staggering 80% of data breaches are linked to weak passwords. Most importantly, it detects potential threats immediately, allowing cybersecurity experts to react fast. AI can help deal with critical vulnerabilities 40% more quickly. But AI isn't necessarily the all-powerful solution to end cyber attacks. It poses challenges too. First of all, artificial intelligence is not invincible. Some tasks performed by AI can be manipulated if hackers get access to them. For example, an AI program could be tricked into labeling a dangerous software or user behavior as safe, or the other way around. Biometric authentication can also be dangerous. Biometric information in the wrong hands can be used for surveillance or other infringements of our privacy. And unlike passwords, you can't change your biometric data. This brings us to another problem. The AI technology has enabled companies to collect and process more data than ever before. As a result, it will probably contribute to a further deterioration of digital privacy and security. Another challenge that AI poses is how expensive it is to implement. Since a lot of AI technology is still experimental, the cost associated with it might be too high for many companies. And what if criminals use AI? This powerful technology can enable hackers to carry out bigger and more sophisticated attacks very quickly. Like network monitoring and learning patterns of user behavior, criminals can also apply machine learning to determine why certain cyber attacks were unsuccessful in order to create more powerful and effective attack models. AI can also be used to create malware that resembles trusted software. It can be used to learn about the target network's patterns and execute dangerous attacks without ever being detected. Hackers can also exploit AI for more powerful brute force attacks with deep learning. When researchers gave AI millions of leaked passwords and tossed it to generate new ones, the program had an alarming 26% success rate. So will AI take over cybersecurity? It certainly will have a more prominent role in the digital security industry in the upcoming years. The AI market is projected to reach $38.2 billion in 2026, from last year's $8.8 billion. And with it being as powerful as it is, AI is becoming an integral part of the cybersecurity industry. For more cybersecurity news, subscribe to NordVPN's YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah, so that was the video. So, what do you guys think of the video? Like general thoughts or like takeaways? Or like anything you found like specifically interesting that you
AI
want?
is dangerous.
AI is dangerous? Yeah, definitely. AI can be dangerous. Hold on, I see something in the chat. How malware works and how it's dangerous. Yeah, so AI can be dangerous, but it also has its benefits. So I'm going to be going over some of the benefits that were reviewed. So it's really good at fighting malware. AI scans data super fast, like way faster than what our current computer systems can do, and much, much faster than what a human can do just sitting at a computer. And therefore, it's able to detect security breaches and block attacks because it's able to fight this malware because it's able to detect it super easily. And also, it has the tools and the capacity to be able to block these attacks and remove these malware before it becomes a larger problem and issue. Also, something else that was accented in the video was biometric authentication. So biometric authentication, for people who are a little confused, is basically just using your Face ID or your fingerprint to unlock phones or to access things. So I have a finger ID on my computer and I use my face to unlock my phone. So that's two examples of how you might use it in your real life. I know it's being increasingly implemented and common. So biometric authentication eliminates the need for passwords. This is good because in the video, remember, the speaker said how 80% of security breaches are caused by weak passwords. But if you eliminate the need for passwords, then it'll decrease the chance you'll get hacked, because there is no password to hack. It's your face. And it is a lot harder for hackers to be able to get your face ID or fingerprint, so basically steal your identity, than just hack your weak password. So yeah. So Jade asks, does biometric authentication include unlocking something by scanning your pupils? I have not heard of scanning your pupils, but I think so. That is really interesting. But yeah, if something requires you to scan your eye to unlock something, and our eyes are like unique to us, then I believe that would be an example of biometric authentication. So yeah, biometric authentication is becoming more complex. They're not just using Face ID and fingerprint now. Some are also using voice recognition. Some are also using like Guy, I think, which is like figure, like they recognize you based on like your height. And yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. Wait, why are there so many eyes on the slide? That was just like the slides template I got. So yeah. Anyways, lastly is efficiency. I kind of talked on this earlier about fighting malware, but AI detects threats 40% faster, so that an expert or robot can fix this issue as soon as possible. So basically we're saying how, like, when AI is able to detect the problem faster, we can start taking preventative measures sooner, so the chance of actually getting hacked goes down. So yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about some challenges or some concerns about AI in a cybersecurity sense. And there are definitely concerns, like how people mentioned earlier. Their main takeaway is, well, AI can be a risk as well. So first of all, AI can be manipulated. Hackers can manipulate AI code, and criminals can use AI to attack computers more efficiently, and they can go undetected. This is a serious concern because since AI is so powerful at scanning data, they can really use it to do brute force attacks. And basically, brute force attacks is when they like literally try every single combination possible to be able to get your password. And since AI is so powerful, and they could probably keep going for a while to be able to use this AI could really use like this brute force attack method to be able to hack into a lot of systems. Even if your password is secure, AI with its new capacity can possibly be able to just hack it. So if used in the wrong hands, it's very dangerous. And also data breaches. So biometrical data, so like your pupils, that's a new one. I'll have to research that later. But that's really interesting. Like your face, your fingerprint, they can be used as a privacy infringement. So let's say some criminal with malicious intent on the internet decides to actually be able to gain access to your face ID and fingerprint. And trust me, it's possible. It's definitely harder than probably guessing a weak password, but it is not impossible. Now they have your face and your fingerprint. And if a lot of your passwords are based off face ID, and they can impersonate you, which can be extremely dangerous. And they can unlock pretty much a lot of super sensitive information by just saying, oh, hey, it's me, but it's actually not. And also, if someone has your biometric data, like your face or your finger, you can't really change that. I mean, there's like plastic surgery, but it's difficult to change your biometric data. You can change a weak password, but it's a lot harder to change what you look like. So yeah. So yeah, you guys are right. AI can be risky. Okay, now we're talking about AI in our homes, or pretty much just AI in our everyday life. So let's just remember AI are basically when systems or computers mimic human intelligence. So does anyone want to talk about what an AI assistant is? Or does anyone want to give me some examples? Okay, so we have Alexa and Siri, great examples. Or you can also give me like an example of like AI just used in a household. So like how can AI be used in like everyday life? Okay, Google. Okay, good. Internet. Yes, internet security. Cameras. Yeah, security cameras. That's a really good one. Cookie caches, good. Yeah, so you guys all had a lot of really great examples in the chat. So yeah, so an AI assistant includes smart devices and digital personal assistants. So for example, we have Okay Google, we have Alexa, Hey Siri. I just activated my Siri.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so how many of you use Alexa, Google, or Siri? You can like raise your hand if you know how to do that, or you can just say that you do. Okay, so 3 people, 5 people. Okay, I'll raise my hand too, because I literally just activated my Siri. Okay, so a lot of you seem like you're familiar with Alexa, Google, or Siri. So personally, I use Alexa and Siri. I do not have a Google, but Google is cool too. So Alexa, Siri are great examples of AI in our houses. So yeah, you guys can all lower your hands now. So yeah, but it's good to know that you guys are all familiar. So let's talk about some common uses of AI in everyday life. So I guess Alexa, Google, and Siri are 3 examples that we've already said, but does anyone else want to add on? I know earlier we had internet and some caches, if you guys want to elaborate on that, or like basically AI used in the household anywhere. Like, what do you guys think? Okay, I'll give people a little bit of time because I know this is like kind of a question that like you have to think about. But yeah, you guys can just use the chat since you guys seem more comfortable with that. Oh, Brandon, do you have a question or do you want to answer? Okay. Oh, so okay, you just forgot to put your hand down. Sorry, no worries. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we have broken Siri, cool, and a captcha. Okay, social media ads. Yes, social media ads is a great example. Okay, now I'm going to talk about like kind of all the ways. Well, this is not all the ways. These are just a long list of examples that AI can be used in everyday life. And I guess it surprised me when I was researching it. I thought I was like, oh yeah, sure. I've like encountered AI before, but I definitely don't use it every day because it's not like I use my Alexa or Siri every day. Well, I definitely do use AI every day after researching it, but let's take a look here. So we've gone over this: Face ID, fingerprint, even pupil recognition, maybe even voice recognition. So biometrical data, that is use of AI. So I definitely use that like every day to like access my phone. Social media feeds. So this was put in the chat, but social media feeds, so how it uses AI is basically if I'm like scrolling on Instagram and I like continuously like a certain kind of post. So let's say I continuously like pictures of cake because I'm hungry and I like cake. So I start liking pictures of cake. Well, Instagram is going to take this data and be like, oh, this girl really likes cake. So what Instagram will do is that it will filter through out of all the data I've like liked. They'll find a pattern, which is like, I always like pictures of cakes. So they'll push ads to me because there are ads on social media of like cake places near me or more cakes or like cake mixes online, like that kind of thing, because they know I like cakes. I'm sure you guys have encountered this before. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they only use the data on the app, but It's kind of creepy, to be honest. So it is a little bit creepy, I'm not gonna lie. So funny story. This is like kind of the creepiest story I got with an Instagram ad before. But one time I was like discussing with my parents how I need a TI-89 for school, which is a specific kind of calculator. That is like pretty expensive. So yeah, and then I was like, oh, I need a TI-89 for my class. And then I was like going to go. So I opened my phone because I was like kind of bored, and I went on Instagram. Sure enough, I had ads for calculators. I don't know if Instagram tracks your voice, but I was creeped out. Like I was scared. Like it's not like I searched on Instagram calculators. Like I'm not gonna buy my TI-89 off Instagram, but I was unsettled. So another way is sending emails. So Grammarly uses AI to filter through all the data that you've written in your little email, and they will detect like all like the issues you've made and all the possibilities you can use to fix this grammatical issue. YouTube does search history. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most like what is it, streaming services or like YouTube, like that plays videos, probably tracks search history. I'm sure Instagram does too. So basically, Grammarly uses AI to filter through all the data you put into your email and to like go through all the possibilities and select like the ones that are best to be able to tell you how you fix this issue. Yeah, and in the same way as Instagram search engine ads, so basically they'll track your search history. If I keep searching up like cake, they're gonna send me ads for cake. Sorry, I'm using a cake as an example, but it can be anything. It can be anything. It can be calculators. It can be computers. If I keep searching up like one specific thing because I like it or like I use it a lot, they'll definitely push ads to me because of that. And smart home devices. So I know we talked about digital assistants like Alexa, Siri, but also smart home devices at home. So anyone ever heard of like a Samsung fridge? I don't have them. I don't have a Samsung fridge, but I know people do have Samsung fridges. And basically, from my knowledge, they're able to like regulate the temperature inside and be able to like make purchases from like a screen. And yeah, they use a lot of AI. So there are some smart microwaves. There's a lot of smart light systems that are able to like automatically like turn on or turn off or dim or like brighten throughout the day based on like the light coming from outside. And also like there are some light systems that when you like clap, they turn on. So again, I don't have lights like that, but I know that they exist. And also there are smart heating and cooling systems. So basically like based on the temperature outside, based on the time of day, or like based on whatever setting the user has it at, the cooling system will rise and fall throughout the day, just like to regulate the temperature within the household. Okay, traveling. So the map app, you know, like Google Maps or like maps, like whenever you're like traveling or just going somewhere unfamiliar, you need a GPS to be able to tell you where to go. That uses AI because the GPS system or the Maps app needs to be able to analyze, like, okay, you're going from location A to location B. They need to run through all the possibilities for all the roads on how to get there and show you the best ones that they think you would be able to take. So for example, a beginning driver would probably avoid highways. So the Maps app would probably push if there's like a toggle button for avoid highways, but if you constantly avoid highways, they'll put that one at the top selection for you to go because a beginner driver probably would not want to go on the highway. So yeah, it uses kind of AI in both those two ways. And banking, they use in banking to detect fraud. So basically the AI is be able to run through so much data. So they can go through like every single transaction, be able to look for anything suspicious or anything that probably may have been sneakily hidden from like the bank tellers or like the workers at the bank. But AI can detect that. And in the same way, like online shopping and Netflix recommendations will push ads to you and like cater to what you are constantly searching up or using. So yeah, those are just some examples. Again, these are definitely not all examples, but yeah. So we're gonna move on. So obviously those are great. All those like features are supposed to make life a lot more convenient, and they're really great ways to be implemented in the household. But what are some security concerns in AI devices at home? So yeah, anyone can answer this question. If you guys want to like write it in a chat or like unmute, both are great. I know. Okay, so Brandon L said breach of privacy and hackers. So yeah, those are great responses. And I know someone early said it was a little creepy that AI would be tracking your search history and to like send you ads. Okay, so Kylan said if there is like a data breach or something, a lot of people's data would be leaked and maybe even ruin lives. Cool. And we also have a response that says criminals listening into the Alexa. Yes, those are all great examples. So yeah. Now let's there's a lot. Okay, I'm just gonna say there's a lot of security concerns. But here's some kind of beginning ones. So I think someone in the chat earlier, Kylan mentioned about personal data possibly being stolen. So yeah, that is a really big concern. So Face ID, voice recognition, birthday, address, financial information, etc. Like those are like a list of like personal sensitive data that your AI assistant may have access to. So they definitely have like your Alexa and Siri and your Google, they definitely have access to your voice recognition, because like when you're setting up the AI assistant, you have to like record your voice and like so that the device knows it. So they definitely have access to your voice recognition. Some more some more complicated devices like a Samsung fridge or like a home lock system that requires you to like put in your fingerprint or your Face ID to like unlock to be able to use. Those kinds of systems definitely do have access to your Face ID. And also some of them may have access to your address, because a lot of these digital assistants have like location like capabilities, like a maps app, because I'm pretty sure you can ask like Alexa or Siri, hey, how do I get to this place? And they can like use that algorithm to be able to detect where they are. So you may not even give them your address, but they know it, like they can be able to find out. Someone written in the chat, there are sometimes the toys made by criminals listening to the talking around the toy and sending it to a database. Yes, that I think is more like malicious surveillance. But yes, that is definitely a concern. Also, financial information is something your AI assistant may have access to, because some AI assistants are able to make purchases. I think Alexas are able to make, I'm not quite sure on this one, but I know a Samsung fridge is able to like buy groceries from the screen, and you would have to put in your like card and financial information to be able to make purchases from that. And a lot of AI assistants can also probably do the same. Also, they may have access to your birth date, because when you're setting up your AI assistant, you have to put in like, you have to make an account. So for Alexa, you need an Amazon account, and your Amazon account contains your email, your birthday, your phone number, and so many other like private information. So once you've linked your personal assistant or Alexa to your Amazon account, they also have that same information. That's why, oh, they also know your name, but that's kind of a given. That's why when I say, hey, Siri, Siri will be like, hey, Claire. So they know my name. So basically criminals will target these at-home devices because they have access to so much sensitive information and they're in close proximity to people. And this makes identity theft pretty easier. And that's a concern because since biometric data is being used to unlock and access so much, they can basically just like steal your personal data from these. Also, someone in the chat said earlier that criminals can listen to you from Alexa. We're going to get into that later, but that is definitely a valid concern. Okay, someone said use a fake birthday when you sign up with an account. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like usually I only typically use fake birthdays if it's like, oh, sorry. Well, I will typically use fake birthdays when I'm like not old enough to be able to use an app, but you guys should. I don't think you guys should do that. But I mean, that would be one way to like conceal your birthday because I'm sure everyone puts like January 1st, 2000 or something. But yeah. Also, weak passwords. So this was stated in the earlier video, but basically smart home hubs like connect all the devices using in the household. So some houses may have an Alexa downstairs, like in the kitchen, but also have an Alexa in the bedroom. So you can say, hey, Alexa, I want to make an announcement and then announce it on all the Alexas and smart devices in the house. Pretty sure this is also a feature with Google. But they're all connected with the smart home hub. A lot of these hubs don't have secure passwords. And what happens when they don't have secure passwords? They get hacked. So criminals can basically virtually break into homes. And you might be wondering, oh, like all they're gonna do is just go in and they can't actually like take anything because they're hacking in virtually. Well, no, like they can't really take anything other than your personal information and sensitive data. But they can basically like do damage to your household. They can basically, someone said listen in from your Alexa, which is an infringement on privacy. They can turn off your refrigerator so all your food spoils. And if you have smart light systems, they can turn your lights on all day and make your electrical bills skyrocket. They can also mess with the cooling system of your house. So they can either make your house like scorching hot or freezing cold. And when your house is at extreme temperatures, actually fragile items might be damaged due to the extreme weather. Well, extreme weather like within your household. They can steal data. They can steal data. Yes. Okay, lots more security concerns. I talked about this earlier, but at home AI stores address. So if it were to be hacked, they do have access to your address. Locks. So hackers can tamper with smart door locks. So I talked about this briefly earlier, but if they are able to hack into your door, hackers can lock you inside or they can prevent you from entering your house, which are two very bad scenarios. They can cause property damage, can overheat, or they can freeze your house. Not good.
Also use your computer to search up really weird stuff and then leave it on your search history.
Yeah. Basically they can like tamper with your search engines. If they're able to access the internet from like a Alexa or personal device. So that is definitely a concern. So basically apps that control these, like third-party apps. So for example, that Amazon app can control Alexa. If it's not secure, hackers can also hack in from there. So that is also another way they can get into your home's AI system. Recording. Okay, so someone said this earlier or like touched on it, but basically smart devices, if they're hacked, they listen to your voice. They can record you. And also, so like I'm pretty sure Alexa records you. So turn that off, guys. Like there's something in settings that you can turn off, like store files. And also just like when you're not using Alexa or Google, just turn it off. Like I just find it weird.
Scams versus scams.
Oh yes, scams.
They can use your voice to buy stuff.
They can, yeah. So let's say that they have your voice, they can like use your voice and like play a audio message of me, like I want to order a cake and like on like Alexa, and then suddenly I have like 50 cakes and I'm also broke. So, and I'm sure that's just like a more low-key example. Like they can literally buy whatever if they have your credit card info with your assistant devices. Also, you can easily manipulate this like data without a trace, because with like new technology, it's a lot easier to like hide it. And also they literally, like all the systems literally think that it's you because they have your Face ID, your like voice recognition, your personal information. So, oh no, Harry, you are okay. I appreciate your insights. Okay, Applet said, will your search engines remember your history, even if you delete your history? Just, I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but I'm just gonna say a lot of things on the internet, you might think you've deleted them, but they're never actually gone. So I do not really know the answer to that one, but yeah. Okay, so how can we be safe from security risks? Because there's a lot. So since we're like kind of running short on time, I'm not going to make you answer this question, but I'm just going to go straight to the slide. I hope that's okay. Okay, security measures. So disable, turn off your smart devices when they aren't in use. So what I said earlier. So I'm not using my Alexa right now. So I unplugged Alexa. Also because I just need more space for like other outlets to charge my devices. But yeah, Alexa is not listening to me right now because Alexa is not even on. So also disable recording services where they like store your voice. So like if you go into like the settings, there's like a ton of tutorials on YouTube on how to do it. But if you guys want, you guys can like turn that off so that like Amazon doesn't have access to like files of your voice. Yeah. Use strong passwords. So this is kind of like something that we've been talking about today, but like strong passwords actually go a long way. Yeah, so Google, basically Nathan said Google can still maintain records about the way you use web browser related to the deleted data. So yeah, I think that's in response to the question earlier in the chat. But basically, you don't want these major companies having access to like personal data because they can use it. And I don't really, also, I don't think this is kind of like an infringement on privacy, like that discussion, but like I don't think that these major companies really should be listening to me. So just like that's a privacy thing. Also, two-factor authentication. So I'm sure you guys are aware of like how that's used, but basically, for example, Gmail, when I log into Gmail on a new device, I have to like confirm on my phone that yes, it's me on another device. So this makes it harder to steal your identity, because if someone uses your Face ID and you get a notification on your personal device saying, hey, we've noticed that you have a new Face ID. Is this actually you? That can have like another layer of security in case someone is trying to impersonate you. So it's just harder to impersonate. That's also given that your personal device isn't hacked, but hopefully it's not. Okay, so avoid sending important emails with Grammarly. Like you can easily just turn Grammarly off. So so basically important emails as in emails with like specific sensitive information. So if like you're emailing your bank and you have to include specific details about your credit card, probably turn Grammarly off for that, because you don't really know who is also like able to access Grammarly's data. Also, another example is, let's see, if you want to like send out an invite for your birthday party at your house, you're literally sending people your birth date and also your address. Maybe not something you want Grammarly to know. Someone said if there's oh wait, okay, I think Judah said it's if there is three-factor authentication, security will be way too strong, which is good. So yeah, three-factor authentication is maybe something we'll see in the future, because we definitely need the security measures. So you only use authorized third-party apps to like manage your digital assistant. So basically don't use any sketchy apps. And delete stored recordings. This is another setting basically I talked about earlier, just to maintain personal privacy. Okay. Since this is EduHack, we're going to be talking about an AI in schools. So I don't know if y'all have heard, but there is like been experimentation with using robots in classrooms to like teach people. So robots are interesting because robots can make good teachers because robots don't get tired. They can teach all day. They can grade extremely fast. And that is like a lot of teachers don't like grading because it just takes a long time because there's so many students. So it's basically like the Scantron. You like get your grades back super fast, but now a robot is grading it, and robots are extremely fast at like being able to process data. And also, so robots are currently mainly used or being experimented with as like kind of more of a classroom assistant rather than like the sole teacher in the classroom. Because while robots are really efficient at grading and being like a walking internet, like if students have any question, the robots can like just easily search it up and give an answer. A lot of people are finding it difficult to imagine a world where teachers are fully replaced by robots because not all robots are developed with like emotional intelligence that humans have, and especially in like early learning schools or like younger grades, and even in like higher education, a lot of students like look to their teachers for support, especially if you're having a rough time in school or like in life in general. And like teachers often see their students for a long time every day, and they're like kind of like they are able to a teacher is also most oftentimes able to help the child like emotionally in their emotional development. So there's a lot of debate about whether AI belongs in schools or like as a teacher in general. So what do you guys think? Do you think it'd be interesting if would you guys want a robot in your classroom or not? And what if the students just ignore the robot and do random stuff? Yeah, so I guess it would be easier to ignore a robot than an actual person. But yeah, a robot can be kind of like overlooked. Or what if they literally just disable it? Like what if some genius like 5-year-old kindergartner just like takes the plug out or like like disable, like turn the robot off? So there's obviously some concerns. Yeah, so I don't know. That is a really good point, Alice. I don't know if I would want a robot in my classroom. Sorry, but I don't know. That is kind of like an online debate that's interesting. Okay, so we're gonna go into AI ethics. We have like 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna have to like rush through this. But AI ethics are moral principles intended to inform the responsible use of AI technology. So major companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc., like most of them agree that regulation is necessary, but they don't want it to interfere with like development. So basically, like, yeah, we think AI ethics is important, but like we still value our profits, which makes sense because they are like major companies. Like that's kind of what you would expect from those kinds of large corporations. So here's some examples of current ethical laws or ethical frameworks. These that I have on screen is taken from an ethical framework released by UNESCO in 2019. But basically, they want AI to be human-centered. They want to be made for the benefit of all people and the earth. So AI should not be intentionally used or made to harm others. So they want it to respect all life impacted by AI technology through its development process and through its usage. Basically, they're like, oh, don't pollute when you're making these. And also they want to benefit in ecosystems instead of affect them negatively. Also, understanding impacts that AI may cause. So AI can impact environmental, political, social, economical, like frameworks in all of the world, because environmental, like AI, like so for example, like surveillance cameras or like smart fridges, you need metal to build those. And you need to mine a lot, which can be extremely detrimental to the earth. Also political, like again, people are having trouble like deciding on what exactly they will regulate these with, especially since AI is becoming so integrated into our world. And social, like how will people interact with them, especially if AI becomes super involved in society. And also economical, because the AI industry is like worth billions of dollars. So basically it's saying respect human rights. They want equity and diversity, so they want everyone to have equal access to technology so that they don't do any harm or discrimination. And they're also holding a right to privacy, so they, for example, they don't want like people to be like recorded without their knowledge or without their explicit consent. So basically like saying don't infringe on people's privacy. And transparency is a big one. So transparency is like honest and open communication, like not hiding anything or intentionally lying to cover anything, to and like communicating with the people, with like governments, with like private corporations. So yeah, so that is it for my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? You guys were all a wonderful audience. So I'm going to stop the screen share. Does anyone have any questions, comments that they would like to share? Or like anything? You guys can unmute or type in the chat, whatever you want to do. Okay, so we have a question. If AI actually gets intelligent and it's out on the web, there's no way to shut it down or capture it, right? Because it could get all the knowledge from the web and go anywhere. Okay, so I think what you mean by this question, so AI can access the internet, so they can like search it up, so they can definitely have a lot of knowledge, but someone can like disable an AI feature, like Grammarly just like disable it. I think what you're talking about is more like sophisticated. Yeah, also Alice said web is sometimes wrong. So I think you're talking about more like sophisticated AI systems or like machinery that is able to do that. Yes, oh yeah, the web is sometimes wrong. And also like again, humans are the one who made, like it could not let anyone change the code. Okay, so I'm not too sure on this one. That's definitely a concern, but I think they can AI like coders or like computer scientists are still able to like change the code if they find flaws in the code. And I'm pretty sure they can just like edit the systems, unless I mean, if what Jade says is like basically if they like turn off like the editing thing. I mean, I'm sure there's a case like that, but I haven't heard of it. That is a good question. Or maybe I watch too many science fiction movies. I mean, it's a valid concern. I'm actually not quite sure how to fix it though. I guess we would have to like literally take apart the robot itself. But yeah. There's a lot of concerns about like, oh, maybe robots will take over the world. I don't know, maybe that will happen. Oh my God. Where can we find additional information about AI and cybersecurity? Okay, that's a really good question. Yeah. So Google has a lot of resources. The internet isn't always bad. So basically, I do a lot of cyber patriot. So that's why I was interested in this topic. So Cyber Patriot has a lot of resources and websites that you can look online. But basically what I do is I like compete in cybersecurity kind of. So like I work on like images, I work on computers, and my goal is to make them as secure as possible. So that's how I kind of got into this topic. And AI is just because I'm interested in AI. But yeah. Okay, so it is 5 p.m. now. You guys are all free to go. You guys were a great audience. Thank you so much, and good luck with the rest of the hackathon.
Thank you, Claire, for the amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.